Thanks for tuning in. This is Auxiliary Suite. We discuss reggae, artists, and dancehall rhythms, like the one in the back. Let's start the action. All right, let's talk about what this is all about. The purpose of this is really to discuss the rhythms, many of which were big rhythms. Like I said before, the one that's playing in the back, and all the big songs that were on those rhythms. So we came up with this concept, and it's under the Auxiliary Suite umbrella. So that's what this whole show is all about. So what we'd like to do now is get into the first song. Now, we go in the order of our choosing. You can feel free to share your comments about what you feel could be the order of who you feel took the rhythm, or who you feel had the bigger song on the rhythm to the next, and then so on and so forth. Basically, the layout of what we're doing is the big songs and the songs that were good on the rhythm, and then concluding with honorable mentions. Now, each rhythm is not going to be the same. Some rhythms are going to have, of course, more tracks. So some rhythms are going to be a little bit more intuitive, and others are just going to be, just as regular as it is. Like I said, let's get into the first one, which for me, I would have to start with the title track, Action. Now, this here is one of Terror Fabulous's biggest songs. This song was mega, and believe it or not, it still is mega. I mean, this song was a big deal, a very, very big deal. He's featured on the song. Of course, we have to mention Nadine Sutherland. She is the female artist, singing on the song with him. The way this song is crafted, you really can't deny the song itself. You can't deny the sound of it just as well. His lyrics match with her choruses and her singing. Superb blend. This was very, 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 very amazing. This was a big song. For me, this song actually took the rhythm. Now, there's a few others that we're gonna get into that is very, very, very close to this. We have a few other superstars on this rhythm just as well. Terror Fabulous is just one of the big names. And I mean, as you listen to the song and the groove of it, the tempo of it, the rhythm itself, and how he sounds on the rhythm, doing one of what he does best, how could you deny? And then, the pasting of it, with him DJing and then Nadine singing, and the in and out and how they're going back and forth on the rhythm, amazing, amazing, amazing. So hands down, this has to be, just based on its popularity and just based on the reaction that I have witnessed from the time the song came out to now, how people react to it. Yeah, I would have to definitely suggest that this one would have to be, the biggest song on the rhythm. Now we'll move on. Now, of course, everybody knows Buju Banton. This right here has to definitely be, for me, the second best. This is a big song. Like I said, what we previously listened to before was the Terror Fabulous Action title song to the rhythm. This now is Love How the Girls Them Flex, Buju Banton on the action rhythm. Buju is pronounced on every rhythm that he ever featured on, especially since we're talking about a time period now. We're talking about a time period when Buju Terror Fabulous, and many more were at their peak in the dancehall, arena. Now, like we mentioned before, the rhythm, let's share something very important that is worthy to note on this rhythm in this moment. Now, this is on the Penthouse Records label. Very important. A major player, was also featured on the MADHOUSE label just as well during the year span of between 1991 to 93. So within that time span, you had a lot of presence from Penthouse and a lot of presence from MADHOUSE with introduction of big rhythms. This only being one of them. Buju, as we all know, hands down, is one of the biggest voices in reggae dancehall rhythm from that era. In the 90s, which they call the golden era of reggae dancehall, Buju was extremely pronounced, just as much as Terror Fabulous. And me personally, I don't favor Buju over Terror or Terror over Buju. I just recognize them as two major key players in the constructing of what we now call dancehall from that time, as they call it, the golden era. So now we're going to move on to the next. As you can see, now I'll show you a little bit of my playlist of where we are now and what we have next. So we basically have three more songs to discuss on the Penthouse rhythm. This what we're listening to now is another Buju song that also is a big deal. This one is called No Second Class Love. This right here, I would have to say, was an extremely well put collaboration. Now, so far, like I mentioned, we've discussed Terror Fabulous, we've discussed Buju Banton. Now, this is the second Buju Banton song on this rhythm. Now, as you know, a lot of the artists from time to time, they would feature two songs on the same rhythm. That's not uncommon. And what's uncommon, let's make a quick comparison. What's uncommon in modern day dancehall to the time that we're actually in right now with what we're discussing is that it's not common to have someone with a second song on that rhythm and it be a big song as, let's just say, the first featured song. Now, not the first featured song that I'm featuring, but the first featured song that might have been released as a first single. You know what I mean? So that's what this time period that we're speaking of, that's what we got from that time period. We have a big artist like Buju Banton who was featured quite often, twice on the same rhythm, and equally had big songs, leaving you to not be able to choose one over the other. No Second Class is a big song. Hands down, this is a big song. So that's what we're listening to right now. And now we're going to move on to another favorite of mine, which here we have Daddy Screw. Now, get rid of that for a second. Now, Daddy Screw is one of those artists that he had many hits, many big hits. Wasn't as pronounced, but there were rhythms at times that he was more pronounced on. This being one of them. He has many to choose from, but this being one of them. And this one is definitely a big song. As you see on the screen here, Mother Panya One Time Man. Big song. What I really enjoy, especially from this time of dancehall dancehall rhythms, what I really enjoy is the melodies that the DJs had. Even if they were featured with a singer on the rhythm, they still had melodies that made the music sound a whole lot more appealing, a whole lot more interesting, and elevated the song just as well to another level. Now, when you listen to this song and you listen, to this rhythm, it just has a very enjoying kind of groove to it. And you had no other choice more than to dance to it. I mean, that's just what you got from it. I mean, when you listen to Daddy Screw and his performance on the rhythm, you could tell that this is a professional. You could tell that this man knows exactly how to ride a rhythm, as they say. And he is no far from the Terror Fabulous, the two Bujus that we've already played, and now the Daddy Screw, riding the rhythm the same exact way. So he's not even an honorable mention. He is definitely in the top tier. Definitely in the top tier, not an honorable mention. This is a top tier performance we're talking about right here. So now we're going to move on to, I'll see here for a second, we're going to move on to another big song and a mega artist. Of course, we're talking about General Degree. And this song on the action rhythm, Mr. Do It Nice. Just enjoy a little piece of this real quick. Now remember, I was just speaking a moment ago about the melodies and the harmonizing. Degree is no stranger to that element of constructing his songs. He is just as the Bujus, just as the Terror Fabulouses, just as the Daddy Screws, and many others. But General Degree is definitely considered one of those very, very, very pronounced reggae dancehall artists. And this song right here, Mr. Do It Nice, is a big song. And what you could hear from Mr. Do It Nice and General Degree's crafting of his music is that he's very clever in how he put his lyrics together. He's one of the most clever from that time. Even now, I've listened to some of his modern music on more the modern rhythms, and he still has that craftiness and that cleverness to how he put his music together. And this time period was definitely a time period that he excelled, and he towered over many rhythms. This is just being, one of them on the action, rhythm, Mr. Do It Nice. And like I mentioned before, Penthouse Records and MADHOUSE music is no stranger to big rhythms with these big artists. There were many of them to choose from, and this is just another one that's an addition to what's happening. So this here that we're listening to is the Mr. Do It Nice. So now we're gonna move on from the Mr. Do It Nice, General Degree, big mention, big artist. And here we come to Louie Culture and Wayne Wonder. Louie Culture is one of those artists that is extremely versatile. Now, we're not only talking about two big artists here, we're talking about mega artists, but sharing a little bit more emphasis on the DJ, because that's a little bit more of what we're focusing more on with this particular rhythm. We're focusing more on the DJ here. And so far, you heard 3 singers that performed with these big artists. Louie culture is no stranger to big rhythms, no stranger to having big songs, no stranger to putting together great songs. So what I really want you to tune into in a moment is a unique display of a well-seasoned professional. So take a listen. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about a mega artist on a big rhythm. There's no denying this performance that this is one of Louie culture's many major pronounced performance. And I know you keep hearing me say pronounce, and just to share a little bit of emphasis on what I'm referring to when I say that is that when you talk about the action rhythm, you're talking about a mega rhythm out there. Now, when you listen to the action rhythm, when you're comparing from the time period, like I said, between 91 and 93, what you're listening for is a rhythm like this. What you're listening for is who are the key performers, right? And typically how this played out is you're gonna have key performers, meaning names that you often hear about, that you frequent, that's gonna be on that rhythm. More than likely, they're gonna end up on that big rhythm. Now, Louie culture is one of those artists that followed through with that. Usually, from what I've noticed, Terra Fabulous has a performance on the rhythm, Daddy Screw has a performance in the rhythm. More than likely, Louie culture has a performance on the rhythm. And or it could be in any other variation. It could be Louie culture on the rhythm, Daddy Screw on the rhythm, or Terra Fabulous on the rhythm, Louie culture on the rhythm, so on and so forth, vice versa. But nonetheless, Louie culture on this rhythm is not even just worthy of a seat next to all the other big performance, but to be considered also equally a big performer. So that's just it. We just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about big rhythms, big artists, big performances, from that time. So tune in next time where we discuss more artists, another big rhythm, and reggae. But I have a request, and that request is simply, do share your playlist with us. Do share who you feel took the rhythm. I'm curious to read some of your comments and the order that you put who you feel took the rhythm to who ended up at the lesser favorable, as a way to put it. Anyway, moving on from that, if this is your first time with us, thanks for tuning in, and let's continue the discussion. Share comments, return soon, and thanks for subscribing. And one more thing that's so important to share. Just to think, all this action came from one mad, exciting Penthouse auxiliary suite.